So this morning I want to do my vlog on pedophilia. So pedophilia is a very sensitive topic because people, adults who engage in pedophilia usually get into a lot of trouble, probably end up being shunned by a lot of their friends and family and society on some level, given a lot of the laws. Having said that though, pedophilia is normal, just like everything else. It's possible that people started outlawing pedophilia because adults might have been taking too much advantage of kids in other adults' minds, so adults were taking too much sexual advantage of kids. Other adults who observed this or saw this didn't like that and might not have liked the effects. But I know as far as me in my youth, I was wanting to have sex with people from age 3, 4, and 5. This was partly because of my exposure to my older cousins too. That might have sped things up for me a little bit, but particularly one of my cousins, Kyle, who wanted to have this sexual interaction with my sister, wanting to see her private parts. And I remember from that day, I was immediately interested in sex and quite aware immediately that there must be a difference, and there's something I just didn't completely know yet. And so I started venturing into my sexual activity at a very young age. Or maybe that's just normal. And I know if I had opportunities with women who, who are older, but considered to be older all the time, and I'd gotten to explore their bodies as a child, I definitely would have done that rather than running around on the playground or even playing soccer. I was definitely interested in sex. I do think there are some cultures that do allow for that, well, at least nudity amongst families a lot more than other cultures. My take on that is France is one of those countries, but I'm not completely sure. And maybe some parts in Britain too, but I'm not really sure. Maybe Germany. This is my understanding so far. And then possibly also the Netherlands. But while I'm saying, if pedophilia is normal, I'm really not trying to indicate that I'm going to do that. But I definitely have thought about it from many different perspectives. First, from the perspective of a man being a pedophile and, the repercussions of that. It probably becomes very difficult to find partners since the older women usually look down on it very, very much. And then eventually trying to understand if it could be normal and, how would I test for that or know that? And, because usually it's, people are against pedophilia because it's the adult taking advantage of kids who are innocent and not sexually aware yet, or at least in their brains. But if we quote Freud, even infants have sexual desires and innate sexual activity. They just can't describe it in words yet. They just don't have those linguistic skills well formed yet at that age as an infant. But then I started realizing, well, it is possible that, maybe a 3, 4, and 5-year-old, even a girl, might want to have a sexual interaction with an older man that she sees as attractive. So how would I test that? How could you test that? Well, if you put like a 4-year-old girl in the same room with a 50-year-old man, and the 50-year-old man is undressed, naked, sitting, with his body exposed, you could see if that girl wants to approach him and explore his body on some level. Obviously, there can be many reasons for that. It doesn't just have to be sexual. But sex would be one particular reason, and usually is a root of many of the other reasons, even if that child doesn't specifically engage in intercourse with that man. So, the truth is there is some normality to pedophilia at the least. And for me, I'm pretty sure it's a normal behavior. And I'm not really completely sure of all the reasons why a lot of people are against pedophilia, other than parents protecting their kids, which I do understand. I'm not against that either. But for me, I know it's not as big a deal in many forms. Yes, when it comes to abuse, I'm not really for abuse. But if it's more like a pure sexual activity amongst someone who happens to be quite old or older and someone who happens to be a child or young, I'm not really completely against that either. And I think that is part of the norm. So that's pretty much my take on pedophilia. It's probably one of the most sensitive and difficult paraphilias, and definitely one I learned about, understood the legal consequences of at a very early age, as it came up in the news several times on television, and, made the decision that I knew I wasn't going to venture down that track. But yeah, I've always been interested in these paraphilias. Even at a young age, I knew there were these other sexual ways to express oneself that had been described through psychiatry and medicine, but it took quite a bit of work to finally get to those specific terms and specific definitions and to really understand them. So yeah, pedophilia. It's kind of interesting because if you break the word down, ped really indicates foot, from what I understand, and then philia, I don't know, something like feeling or something. Let me see if I can find that really quickly. What is pedo or ped? Yeah, that just got me back to pedophilia. But anyway, ped, like pedal, does, I'm pretty sure, indicates foot. But I'd have to do a little more rigorous searching or Googling or find some papers or something. So there, let me see philia real quick. So philia is denoting fondness, especially an abnormal love for a specified thing. So it's defined even as an abnormality. So I wonder if there's another word for normalized sex between an adult and a child, because that would be more interesting for me to learn and read about. And I do know it happened. I don't know maybe what the Victorian era or BCE at some point during the Greeks. I'm pretty sure when the Greeks were running around as gods, stuff like that must have been happening. Aphrodite. Maybe even Aristotle, I don't know. I'm sure a lot of you out there's somebody who knows this stuff already. So if you get to see this video or those people, definitely show them this video and ask them to place a kind comment illuminating some of these topics and maybe even sharing some interesting books or papers that will provide insight into the history of normalized pedophilia or normal pedophilia or the evolution of pedophilia, as well as what pedophilia in current form today. So that's my take on pedophilia. Definitely like if you like my videos, subscribe, comment, and share. And yeah, y'all might as well, or can call me Dr. Kenny or Adrian. I definitely go by Adrian. Bye.